Between 1968 and 1969, a shadow stalked Northern California. He killed couples on lovers' lanes, shot strangers in cold blood, and mocked the police with letters and ciphers that baffled experts for decades. He signed his messages with a chilling symbol, a circle with a cross through it, and he called himself the Zodiac. More than 50 years later, his crimes remain unsolved. His ciphers, some cracked, others still mysterious, taunt investigators to this day. His identity has been endlessly debated, his motives dissected, his legend immortalized. Who was the Zodiac Killer? And why did he vanish as suddenly as he appeared? The story begins on December 20th, 1968. On a lonely stretch of Lake Herman Road near Vallejo, California, high school students David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen parked their car. It was a quiet Friday night, just before Christmas. They were young, innocent, sharing the kind of simple moment couples had enjoyed countless times before. But this night would end in horror. At around 11:15 p.m., a car pulled up beside them. The driver stepped out, carrying a gun. He fired into the vehicle, then forced the couple out. David was shot at close range. Betty Lou ran, but was struck 5 times in the back as she fled. Their bodies were discovered soon after. The killer left no trace, no clue. Police were baffled. Six months later, on July 4th, 1969, he struck again. Darlene Farron and Mike Mago were parked at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo when a car pulled up beside them. The driver left only to return minutes later. This time, he stepped out with a flashlight and a 9mm pistol. He fired through the window, hitting both victims multiple times. Darlene was killed. Mike survived despite grievous wounds, and he gave police their first description: a heavy-set man, around 30, with short brown hair and glasses. But the real terror came less than an hour later.
A call came into Vallejo police. The voice confessed to the shooting and to the murders of Faraday and Jensen 6 months earlier. The caller's tone was casual, almost bored, as though describing routine errands rather than lives destroyed. Police now knew they faced not just a killer but a predator who wanted recognition.
A month later, 3 Bay Area newspapers each received a letter. Inside, written in blocky handwriting, was a boast. The writer claimed responsibility for the killings. Enclosed was a cipher, 408 characters of symbols meant to be solved. He demanded publication, threatening further violence if denied. The press complied, the cipher ran in the papers. The public was terrified, and the legend of the Zodiac had begun. Within a week, a California schoolteacher and his wife solved the puzzle. It read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. Man is the most dangerous animal of all." The message ended ominously. "The best part is when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and all the people I have killed will become my slaves." It was chilling not just for its cruelty, but for its emptiness. There was no real identity revealed, no motive explained. Just the words of a killer reveling in the terror he created. The Zodiac's reign had only just begun. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa. A man approached them wearing a bizarre black hood, sunglasses, and the crosshair symbol emblazoned on his chest. He carried a gun and pre-cut lengths of rope. Speaking calmly, he claimed he was an escaped convict in need of money and a car. He bound their hands and feet. Then, without warning, he drew a knife and stabbed them repeatedly. He then walked to their car and scrawled a message on the door, the dates of his previous killings, signed with his symbol. Brian survived. Cecilia died 2 days later. And with this, the Zodiac introduced a new element of horror: ritual, performance, spectacle. He was not just killing, he was staging. 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac struck in San Francisco. Paul Stein, a cab driver, picked up a fare in Presidio Heights. Moments later, he was shot in the head. Witnesses watched from a window as the killer calmly wiped down the cab and tore away a piece of Stein's bloody shirt, proof he would later mail to newspapers. This killing was different. It wasn't a couple on a lover's lane. It wasn't secluded. It was brazen, in the city, in plain sight. Police even briefly stopped a man fitting the description, heavy-set, with glasses, but let him go after being misinformed that the suspect was black. The killer had been within their grasp and slipped away. By now, the Zodiac's identity was the obsession of the Bay Area. Letters flooded newspapers, mocking police, taunting the public. He threatened to shoot children on school buses. He sent more ciphers, claiming his identity was hidden within. One letter read, "This is the Zodiac speaking." With those words, his voice became unmistakable. Cold, detached, methodical. His letters were filled with spelling errors, odd phrasing, and grandiose threats. Some contained ciphers still unsolved today. Others arrived with diagrams of bombs he claimed he was building. Each new letter fueled dread. The threat to schoolchildren sent parents into panic. Police cars escorted buses. Officers rode shotgun with drivers. Every day felt like a countdown to terror. And yet no bus was attacked. The Zodiac had mastered the art of fear, creating maximum panic with minimum effort. The investigation sprawled. Hundreds of suspects were interviewed. Evidence was poured over, but the Zodiac was slippery. He left no fingerprints that could be matched. His handwriting was distinctive, but experts disagreed. His ciphers intrigued cryptographers worldwide, but most revealed little beyond his thirst for power. And the killings seemed to stop. Or did they? In his letters, the Zodiac claimed dozens of victims. Police could confirm only 7 attacks, with 5 dead and 2 survivors. But unsolved murders across California were suddenly re-examined. Was Zodiac telling the truth? Or was he inflating his numbers, feeding his legend? The ambiguity was part of his design. The fog of uncertainty was his camouflage. Over the years, suspects emerged. The most famous was Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who lived near the crimes. Friends described him as violent, obsessed with ciphers, and fascinated by killing. His watch bore the Zodiac's crosshair symbol. Police tailed him for years, convinced he was their man. But DNA later cleared him, and handwriting analysis was inconclusive. Other suspects included Richard Gaikowski, a journalist with cryptographic knowledge, Lawrence Kane, a Navy veteran and codebreaker, and even Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Each seemed plausible. None could be proven. In 2020, a team of codebreakers finally cracked the Zodiac's infamous 340-character cipher, unsolved for more than 50 years. It read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I'm not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner because I now have enough slaves to work for me." It was chilling but revealed no identity, just more taunts from a ghost. What is perhaps most unsettling is that the Zodiac simply vanished. After the early 1970s, his letters stopped. His killings ceased. Did he die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? Or did he simply walk away, satisfied with his legacy of terror? Like Jack the Ripper before him, he melted back into the shadows, leaving behind only questions. Today, the Zodiac Killer endures as both case and myth. He has inspired films, novels, documentaries, and endless speculation. Amateur detectives pore over his ciphers, convinced the answer lies just one letter away. Police files remain open, but with each passing year, the hope of resolution fades. But behind the legend are real victims. Teenagers whose lives ended in seconds, couples whose love stories became tragedies, families who never found justice. Their names must be remembered, even as the world obsesses over the shadow who killed them. The Zodiac was more than a killer. He was a manipulator, a showman, a phantom who used fear as his greatest weapon. His crimes terrorized a region. His words captivated a nation. His mystery has outlived his era. His true name may never be known. His face may never be unmasked, but his shadow lingers still. In the ciphers unsolved, the letters unanswered, the fear that the man who was never caught may still, somewhere, be watching. Thank you for watching. If this mystery unsettled you as much as it unsettles history, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the darkest unsolved cases.